Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics, live on Channels Television. I'm Segun Kimale in Abuja. Tonight, from a political opposition force brewing in the land to some of the lessons that we can get from the Ghanaian experience, John Dramani Mahama returning to be the leader of that West African country. A lot to talk about and chew on tonight. Stick around with me. Tonight we begin with what has become an agitation of some sort within the political space in Nigeria. Some of the faces you know too well within the political space are already thinking of an alternative to the dominant political parties in Nigeria, and they are urging that Nigerians should now start looking inward to create an alternative platform to elect leaders into various positions outside the dominant political parties in the country. So there was a meeting of some sort in Jos Plateau State, where the convener and the coordinator of the alternative, a national opposition movement, Mr. Segun Sowunmi, said that the political landscape needs an alternative platform that will accommodate competence and dedication rather than anointed and, in some cases, godfather politics. Tonight, what does this mean? We're still years away from the major national or general elections. But when you hear that the new political force, there is a coming together of opposition voices, it means one thing. There are those plans that we can see and the ones that we cannot see. The ones that we cannot see is the ones you should fear the most, because that was how the APC became a force coming from 2012 to 2013 and on to 2014 when they launched their onslaught on the People's Democratic Party. And that party has not been able to get out of the bloody nose it's gotten from the amalgam of those political parties. Tonight, I'm being joined by the convener of the alternative, Mr. Segun Sowunmi. Thank you so much, indeed, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You are a member of the PDP, or you've resigned? Are you still a member?
Passionate, dedicated, strong member of the PDP, never leaving one day, never blinking an eye till now.
You were in Jos with you and some of your friends, and you're already talking about the alternative.
Yes.
It's a political movement, a political force of some sort. Tell us what this is all about.
Thank you, Segun. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. Before we went to Jos, a week before, we had done the national unveil in Abuja, and we started a national opposition movement, which we termed the alternative. And it comes from the mindset of asking ourselves tough questions now. Are we satisfied with the direction that this democracy is going relative to how the people of the country are feeling and how they're being served? And personally for me, because every time I have to speak, I speak as though I approve of everything that the PDP is doing as a pushback, and we only critique the government and the opposition party. And I began to see that if we're not very careful, we're coming to a point in the country where political party, the big dominant political party, may become an obstacle in our recruitment process for quality men to lead the country. 5 issues come to mind quickly. Shall a nation that is 25, 26 years in democracy not worry about the fact that, notwithstanding the huge cost we put into registration and give the people the cards free, yet of 93 plus million people who are registered, we're only churning out 8 million, 9 million to elect a president. If you thought, okay, maybe they're not interested in presidential, go to the states. States with voter numbers of 2 million plus are electing governors with 200,000. Why is that? Why is it that democracy that should be the thing for the people, they're not coming out? The ones that come out, what do we observe? It has almost become a situation where almost every vote is procured, either by the ones that win, or by the ones that didn't win, or by the top four. So you then begin to ask, how did we get ourselves into a situation where this is what is happening? The third reason is that you ask, why should we be a nation in democracy? And it does not matter who the one that wins or maybe got himself into the villa is. From 1999 till date, all we have seen is that the leader is hated while he's in charge. Immediately he leaves, then they start missing him. Then the new one is hated, and immediately he leaves, then they service him, and the circle has remained so. Then the fourth one is that, shall we now not begin to plan succession? Or shall we become a nation that is stuck with only the same names and the same people recycling themselves over and over and over and over again? And where is the space for younger people, newer people, fresher ideas? Why should a nation of human capital of our reach, both in diaspora and at home, humble on all things? Why should our leaders take people for granted so much? And so because we feel that, I started feeling that we need a platform that all opposition parties can now begin to say that we have gone past just critiquing. We will now begin to offer alternative viewpoints to the ruling party, if that is the conversation on the stage, and also to the opposition party, so that we are able to desire an improvement on that. And if we find out in the build-up to 2027, we find out that good materials are not finding space because the existing parties are not cleaning up their act, or they are not making it easy for people except for their anointed candidate who often don't even do what they expect them to do, we must be able to shop for those ones and call our people to say, okay, let's go here.
Quick questions before we get deeper into this conversation. Okay. How do you think your party will view this as an anti-party? Because you are in that just, maybe I should allow our viewers to listen to, and I wonder why some of the videos of those who are attending the meeting is not being rolled. So that people can get a feel of what was happening. This was what Sowunmi said at that meeting in Jos.
Shall we be a society that will not even use our own life to do something important for this country? That is why we created the alternative. The beauty of the platform is that at your local level, you are meant to look for quality materials that you believe can serve you. You throw them up, we will help you to embrace them. We will jointly market that person you bring for us. If the big political parties don't give in because they are thinking that they are going to be passing authority to their friends or to their cronies, then we will jointly go and campaign for that person on another platform if need be. Because this platform is to say that we are going to together look for the best among us to serve the rest of us. That is the alternative.
It does look to me that you're talking about a new platform altogether.
It's not exactly the way you're thinking.
Okay.
We're talking about a need to go back to the people in the society, beg them not to give up on democracy as a first step, and if the reasons why they are seemingly not coming out or not interested and the apathy is that they're feeling not served, we're going to push the burden back to them to find the people they wish to serve them, so that they're the ones now who are bringing the ones they say they want to, that can serve them, that they trust. Of course, any political party that is worth its salt must be looking for people that the people are interested in. But never say never in Nigeria. You can have a fait accompli with political parties. So I've always insisted, one last one, Segun. I've always insisted that for democracy to make sense, the political parties must see themselves as the first safeguard for that democracy. It is the duty of political parties to help the citizens filter the best of the people available and throw them up.
So you're not planning a brand new political party.
I think that we have 18 political parties.
You're speaking against the formidable party, and that those who ask the question, which are the formidable parties? Your party and the ruling party. And I'm wondering how your party is going to view this.
Listen, I don't have the patience for that kind of thing. What I'm saying to you is that after about 26 years of democracy in Nigeria, any discerning Nigerian citizen who loves this country must worry about the fact that rather than become a political conversation of ideology and, if you like, even value, we're dangerously reducing it into a fiefdom of even tribalism, which makes it more dangerous. So that we're now beginning to sense that if we're not even careful, the conversation will be, he's my brother, that's why he can do no wrong. He's not my brother, that's why everything he does is not, that can be right.
Right. Is Atiku Abubakar behind this?
You know, the biggest burden I've had in my life is the fact that even if I were to wake up in the morning and maybe buy biscuits, people will think that it's Atiku. Do you even know me? Do people even know me at all?
But the idea is that you have worked closely with him. He's your leader, is your principal.
Listen, Atiku Abubakar is one man that I love with my bones. Let me explain what that means. If you love someone with your chest or your heart will decay quickly. The last thing that will decay when you die is your bone. I love him with my bones. But hey, does that mean that when I was a spokesperson in 2019 and spoke his campaign to life with due respect and I challenge anybody to tell me he did better than me? I was not exactly his main flyer in 2023. I saw what they did. I felt that he did not focus the campaign on issues. They were just joking about leg the pain and half the pain instead of talking about the issues. I've asked him twice, are you running? Are you done? If you are done, what do we do with this structure? If you are not done, we got to do it a different. We can't be doing the same thing and we did not expect a different result on two different occasions with gaps. I'm a good man to even think of asking him the third time. Then the situation...
What was his response when you had him?
It was quiet. He's still in reflective mode.
So he has not answered you in the affirmative?
No. He's not said no. He's not said yes. It was quiet. And I respect that. Any sensible person will know that the burden of elections is heavy. No human being who has had the kind of experience and the kind of challenges and maybe even the kind of betrayal that Atiku has endured should not reflect deeply before saying I'm going to run.
So there's a possibility of Atiku running in 2027?
He hasn't. Listen.
No, I'm just saying. Since he has not answered you in the affirmative.
I don't do guesswork. I am saying that I've asked him twice, he has not answered. If he answers, good. If whatever answer he makes, then we'll take it to the next level. That's that. The second thing is that shall the country and shall the political party and the discussion in the country, including PDP, wait forever? Or shall we insist that the conversation around our country cannot be had, notwithstanding Atiku, Bola Tinubu and these guys? These are the 1992 set of people. Do we not even have a right to say we're looking for succession now? Do we not have a right to say that, gentlemen, you are old, go and say that somewhere we want new people?
So we need fresh hands. Fresh voices, fresh hearts, fresh faces.
What is important is that you must be careful not to make it a thing in your head to combat into what the society is saying. We are going back to the society now to go and listen at the deepest level. What are you saying? If they say Atiku is the Messiah, the one or the enemy, I don't like anybody being a Messiah like that because I think that is absolutely the domain of God. If they say Atiku is who they want, then we'll tell him, Mister, our going around suggests that is you. But if they say, dude, we're tired, we'll tell him also that they're tired. So the truth of the matter is that we cannot be a nation that is pretending like ostriches that we don't know what our problem. Let me give you a few that will shock you. Tell me why we're having this country today. The government is coming up with a tax bill. Rather than discuss the sense or the otherwise of it, they're almost making it into non-state actor having conversations. Emia's talking, Kanzalio Kwanu talking, Wanise talking, Afenifere talking. Hey, if those organizations want to join politics, they should go and join political parties. It is the business of a political party to run policy and to run its process and then market it. Shehu, are you not embarrassed that the ruling party, our friends, majority Senate, majority Rep, majority governors, and from their own stable, there's so much chaos on a matter that anybody that is discerning and can read and can be interested in the progress of the country will say, okay, this time around, this guy seems to be up to something creative. If there are issues there, can't you tinker with it? So it means that we must be clear. The political parties that we're running, including the ruling party, is becoming broken. And we must find a way to fix it. So not necessarily by starting another party, but by having the dialogue and the conversation in such a way that people can begin to think.
So this is a political movement, not a political party.
You have 17 parties.
So let me ask you, with your huge respect for Atiku Abubakar, if he says he's running, does it change the old dynamics?
No. Bola Tinubu is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is an APC. By our tradition, he has the right of first refusal. That we are creating the alternative does not exclude even APC members who want us to have this conversation on the future. Would that prevent him from running? If Atiku is going to run, we are PDP. We have structures of primaries. We don't dash anybody ticket, contrary to what people think. If you want to run an election in our party, I'm not talking about the other ones where there are always perpetual candidates in their parties, the smaller ones. You will have to go through the crucible of a primaries. And when the votes are counted and you win, that's it. But please, the ticket of PDP is not reserved for anybody.
So Atiku is not funding this alternative?
I've not even spoken to him
about... Is Kwankwaso funding it? Because he looks like you're wearing Kwankwaso's hat.
You know, if only you know. Okay, Segun, can I ask one question? Do you know me at all? Is it that people who don't boast and who are not going all over the place with fancy cars and walking up on the place in a very irritating manner, they are poor? We can fund... in fact, as a matter of fact, I said, I will fund everything myself. And I have funded everything 100%. And my team, I know that at some point they will chip in. But I've said to them, we will not go the way of our leaders, lest we become exactly like what we say we are changing. We can't run a country that has democracy and the children of the poor will not have space on the table because it's too expensive for them. We're having a conversation to say to them, you cannot have democracy and be selling your vote. It's too big a price.
So you're not a Kwankwasia with what you are wearing, or it's just coincidence?
This is just a Hausa cap that goes with the...
I'm just asking. It looks so much like a Kwankwasia hat. That's what I'm asking. Just to...
I'm sure you don't want to even know my view on that movement.
What's the problem with it?
No, you don't want to hear my view on it. I have a different view as to my respect for Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. But that excessive militancy and is crazy. Democracy is not chaos. Democracy is ideological conversation, not instigating young people and people to just be acting like they're ready to go into a mob fight.
Let's look at this ideologically and with methods, because any political movement has to come with a method,
of course,
an ideology, a philosophy, and there's a strategy behind it. If all of these are left out, clearly there's going to be a miss.
You can be sure there is.
So what is your own template? Add the alternative for the kind of person that you think, because you have described a situation that Nigeria needs some help. Yeah. So what is the ideal that you are creating, the template of the character of the person you think can lead Nigeria going forward?
Thank you very much. The first thing that we have to do, which we have started doing, is that we've done a national unveil in Abuja. We've doubled down with zonal conversations. The first zonal conversation took place in Jos for all of the reasons. This democracy and the first primaries even took place in Jos. And so we've gone to Jos. All of the other states of the North Central Zone were there. And we have said to ourselves, guys, let's have this conversation now. Go back to the grassroots and beg our people, in case they are feeling so disappointed that they are not being served. If that is the reason why they are not coming out to vote, please go and let us tell them they shouldn't give up in democracy for all of the reasons why they have the choices. Why do they think that it's a good bargain for us to deal through the embarrassment of vote selling and vote buying? Please go to our people and let them understand. Some people fought and got us independence. If they were people that procured and sold everything, we'll still be dominated by foreigners. Some people took us out of slavery. Some people fought the military to get this democracy. This generation, you can't normalize vote buying and vote selling on this scale. We need to stop it. You can't flog people, so you need to go and do reorientation for them. And we said to them in that central that, look, now you guys in the States, go and have the conversation among yourselves and throw up your own leaders, because we don't want to run the risk that we're imposing people on people. That was why we were saying to them, you are now the ones to tell us who you think can serve you. They gave you Obasanjo, you complained. They gave you Buhari, you complained. They gave you Jonathan, you are complaining. They gave you Bola Tinubu, you are complaining. Fine. Now, you people now, bring who you think can serve us.
Do you have a template of the kind of character that Nigeria needs? Now, because as you move into this, you must have a set agenda.
No.
That this is the ideal person that could lead in terms of the character formation.
Yes, Let me tell you what it's like. Because it's democracy and it's not a military regime. Otherwise, I would have just said this person, this person, this person. But I think that if we reshuffle the deck of cards, new people might be encouraged. Not necessarily. Presidency is not the only thing available. Councillors, local government chairmen, and all of those other ones, they may just be brave enough to try. And they will have a platform that can encourage them that, okay, we are doing it right. Come and take the experiences that we got over many years of being here and make it easy for yourself. And Segun, the ideal thing is for societies and parties to be shopping for good material. Can you imagine how Obama even ended up becoming president of America? He was busy minding his own business, and he had a conversation. They invited him to a convention of the Democratic Party, as they were called then. He delivered his speech, and somebody that has sense said, wow, this is something. And that's it, he became president. Political parties are not supposed to sit on their asses, be deceiving themselves that same is the way to win an election. No. All the others are not doing it like that.
So, I mean, it's interesting that you went to Jos, and of course, history will tell you what has happened in Jos politically speaking in this country.
By this coming Thursday, we're going to be in Bauchi. We're not joking. We're going to go, we've done Jos. Then we're going to do Bauchi as a hub for Northeast. Then we're going to do Kano as a hub for the Northwest.
In all of these,
and then we'll go to the South.
Are you galvanizing people, to the Nigerian people at the grassroots, to give their backing to the government of the day?
No. The government, listen.
Because I imagine that any government that is in power until another election comes should be given some level of support. That is
I think that the word
nationalism.
I think the word is not support. I think the word is understanding. It is cruel to your country if your position is that you won't even contemplate their ideas. The hallmark of brilliance is the ability to entertain a thought, refuse it or accept it. But if you will not even entertain a thought because you have fixated yourself on the country is not good, that's madness. You cannot be in a world where nations are looking for their own national objective. And just because you are running democracy, you create a mob scenario where 24 hours, everything your country does is bad, and you're just going to be shaming yourselves. And even the so-called high-ranking leaders that are supposed to be statesmen are commenting on issues like children. And when you begin to see this, you know that this country is ebbing. And to save that, you try to figure out how you can edge it at the back by telling the people, the great gift of democracy is that you can vote out somebody that you don't like. If you don't like him, you have an opportunity at the next election day to vote him. And I've been saying to them, and saying to opposition, every election is at its way a referendum, Segun. It's a referendum on the ruling party and what they're doing, what their performance, lack of performance or whatever, including the development and everything on the table. But guess what? It is also a referendum on opposition. What they are doing, how they're doing it. If opposition sits on its ass and just assumes that it is just saying they're not doing it, without an alternative, clever conversation of what they would do and how they would do it and why they would do it, I guarantee you the ruling party will win.
Let's look at the conversation around the tax reform bills, which you have mentioned. And that those who said, look, fantastic idea in terms of trying to change the tax system in the country progressively. What's your view generally? And that those who have also opposed it?
No, sure. Let me tell you something. You were here on this platform when Ashad Ahmed, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, made his cabinet. Remember, I started screaming, it's too lopsided, it's too lopsided, it's too lopsided. If you remember. And in that interview, I said, you need to balance these things. It doesn't make sense that it skews too much in the direction of the Southwest, which is where I am. I wasn't cutting my nose to spite my face. I was doing myself tough love. Now, this tax reform now, the first headwind he ran into that was negative is because realistically, people must look at the people that are managing all the finance work and all the infrastructure of collection and also dispensing and see that it's only one tribe. And then when you come and say you want to introduce a tax bill, they will, before reading it, they will go into a frenzy. If you had balanced it, maybe there would have been somebody there that is from another tribe. I would say, no, I was there, it's okay. That's a problem. Number two, people carry their history. If you have a history of covetousness and all of the rumors around how you made your money and the kind of stupendous money you made from managing taxes and all of those rumors that basically cannot be substantiated, but rumors have the ability on resolve to take on a life of its own and take believability. Why would people not be afraid that maybe your point is that you're trying to corner more for yourself? So he caused that. But I warned him. So thankfully, now they would have seen that when we talk, we're not really hating them. We're just advising them because of this like this. The other thing there is that, you see, they have two taxmen in the country, in the Bola Tinubu government, with due respect to them. And I listened to both of them a lot. The big mistake with that tax bill is that they should have sent Zach Oyedeji, if I remember, Zach Adedeji, the one in Federal Inland Revenue, to go and market that product. You know why? It speaks the type of language that everybody can hear.
The problem with the other man, what's his name now? The tax consultant?
The
chairman of the tax
Taiwo.
The problem with Taiwo is that Taiwo is nasal in speaking and very falsetto. You know, those people that have gone to London and gone to America say, when the tax, so he will speak over the heads of the...
He's a brilliant chap.
Very brilliant. I'm not arguing about his brilliance. I'm talking about convincibility and believability. So he will speak over their heads and it will take him a whole lot more just for them to even hear the thing. But if you are Dark Zach, that one has the ability to break down complex things and just make them get it. Maybe because he's not speaking aspirin like we call it. That was the problem. But now, again, the second thing is that why would anybody think that introduction of tax-related issues in a country is not a smoking gun? It is. All of the French Revolution was destroyed only because of the interpretation of tax. So tax is a serious issue. They need to understand that it is not enough for you to tell people that, oh, believe us, when you already have a believability issue anyway. Your duty is to make sure that you take the time to make sure that critical stakeholders understand. Why should anybody oppose something that is good, except for the fact that they either are ignorant of what you're doing or they are afraid? So I've read it over and over and over and over, and I'm saying to myself that this is not even getting too dangerous. We're trying to reform taxes, and it's risking us becoming North versus South, Yoruba versus them. What kind of nonsense is this? Is that the kind of country we want to live in? Part of the reasons why we have the alternative, so that we can lower the tribal temperature. Anybody in this country, in the world, who thinks that the only thing that validates him is his tribe man, is worse than an ignorant person. Because what is the difference between your tribe man and the next person and the next person? That's when you're all Africans. Is the Bible not clear and is the Quran not clear that Joseph was even sold into slavery by his brother?
But why would we as a people shoot down what you have referred to as a good
bill? It's a very good bill. Listen, Ashad Bola Ahmed Tinubu, kudos for that bill, because you're going to take the credit for putting the team together. It's a very good bill. It has great capacity, one, to make the poor people in the country get some breather. Some taxes, some even personal income tax are going to be removed from them. Some of the things they spend most of their money on, like bread, like transport, like housing, is going to be removed from them. Nobody has given them such a gift. It's like giving them money indirectly so that nobody can even take the money from them. And it's also going to stimulate them to be able to even make more money. And the one that is so irritating for them, the VAT, is even better for everybody, because now the headquarters gets all the VAT money and other people are where usage is being done. It's going to also get it. But are you going to blame them for not trusting them? I don't even trust them.
So there needs to be a trust building mechanism.
They created it by themselves. You can't have IRS, Yoruba, Chairman Yoruba, Finance Yoruba, Custom Yoruba, Inland Revenue Yoruba, CBN. You can't do. I mean, if you were not a Yoruba man, would you be happy? And then suddenly they come again. Two Yoruba people come and tell you we have a new tax regime. There will be nervous. People are not in the National Assembly, in the Senate, or even in politics, not to protect the interests of their people. That's why they are there. They are representative of their own people.
So that's your own interpretation of the pushbacks.
That's why the pushback will come. Because
not necessarily because of some of the gray areas.
It's disgraceful to say, what bill does not have gray area? What are they going to do in the public hearing? Are they illiterate? I'm amazed at some of their governors saying a lot of nonsense. People who have tax consultants in their states, they have commissioners of finance in their state who can break it down for them. I'm disgusted that a group of non-official government, traditional rulers and such things are weighing in on a matter they don't have any knowledge on. Even if you told them to come and define the terminology, they don't even know. So who sickled them into a band of complainers? But you cost it for yourself. And I have the privilege of telling you ab initio at the beginning of the day that this is not right. This country is fragile, has always been. We maintained it by diligently being fair, diligently being equitable, and diligently being transparent to the other tribes. Why should you invite people to a party that they are supposed to be seated and they're getting the invitation after you and your tribe men have sat on it and have smiled on it and have whatever? You may mean well, but let me also have one of my own sitting down there to be sure that you really mean well. Well, let me have one of my own to be sure that if there's a clause that will not be right for me, he can say, no. Nobody will sit at the table and do injury to his own tribe. Why did you put yourself in that mess? And I shouted at the beginning. And a lot of their annoying speaking heads didn't see that I was trying to save the country from this unnecessary conversation that makes everything tribal. I've gone around the country. I've heard people say, we gave him votes. And truly, they gave him votes. I've heard people say, he's going to come and meet us here, whether we get. I've heard all of that. Why would they say that? When there was money in Nigeria, did the Northerners give the poor people money? Did their Northern leaders give their majority the money? If there's no money now and everybody's struggling now, why are they making it as if they are trying to stimulate their people to now begin to get more angry, as if there's ever been a time when they even looked after those people?
How do you think that we can cross the Rubicon?
No, I think the Rubicon is already
getting this bill out of the line. If it's a good bill, like
it's a good bill. It's a good bill.
What do we need to get it settled?
I think that the president has to first of all understand that as president, there is a line that you tell them, please, I won't have you cross this line. Not under my watch. One. Number two, I think the president needs to tell them in very clear language, I won't be sitting down here as president, refuse to do the right thing for the country, only because you want to threaten me with election. When we get to the brink of election, we'll cross it. And I think the president needs to tell them, you are just making mouth. You are not more a politician than me, and you are not more a strategist than me. Whatever you think you know, I know it too. So stop bullying me and let's have this conversation like adults. And I think the president needs to say very clearly, traditional rulers, stay in your palaces. Don't get your mouth and yourself involved in government issues. Government
and they leaders in their own right, and they government in their own right.
No. Listen, when a government is in place, the role of non-government, non-state, non-political actors who are not even in the political parties is advisory, and that the advisory must not have any connotation of threat. If they want to be politicians, just to spread it even, they should join parties. We work too damn hard at party levels for us to say we want to fix something, and I'm not an APC man, and then the only reason why we'll be cowing is because they are banding together tribal people who will just be shouting and shouting and shouting, even without having the knowledge to even analyze it. If they want to analyze the tax bill, I have suggested one university in the Southwest, maybe University of Ibadan if you like, give it to them. Let them do a panel on their own. Give one in all of the zones. When they are finished doing it, bring it to the national, have it sit up with them so that they are subject matter experts. And then they can say, okay, this, and they can have an understanding with themselves. We can't be a nation that is going to be, the obstacle to itself. And I'll tell you one thing that makes the point very clear. The petroleum industry bill. This my beloved Federal Republic of Nigeria that I don't sleep, I don't eat, I don't rest because of its glory that I feel can happen, spent 20 years wasting his time on that bill. And you know what it has cost us? Almost all the IOCs in Nigeria that were here, putting investment in our oil sector, getting new assets, you know what they've done? They have gone elsewhere. Some of them have gone further offshore. Some of them have gone to countries that are safe. Why? Because we were dilly-dallying, we couldn't just make up our mind, we won't allow government to work, we were criticizing unnecessarily, we were doing pulling down, the kind of thing that APC did, when we were telling them in 2012, let's remove this subsidy so that we can make it sustainable, only to come back later, and I'm hearing the former governor of Ekiti, what's his name, Fayemi, who obviously has been dropped in the cold, and because of that, suddenly he's found his voice. He was caricaturing at the event, we were joking, we knew it was more politics. He had the temerity to stand in front of human beings and say, if that that removal of subsidy, we need to observe it was politics. Men like that should be told to come and explain what they understand as the meaning of statesmanship. The citizens of Nigeria don't have the patience for this your mistake and your jokes around what will impact their lives. Because even if you say you need 10 years for the gestation period of any policy, that 10 years is at the expense of the people's ages and the things they will do. You can't keep Nigerian people under pressure forever. This Bola Tinubu government has devalued us into poverty. Total poverty. If you check what you had in your account in Naira, if it was a store of value in 2015, check what it is now, and you will understand that for committing no crime, for joining them in doing nothing, you have become really poorer. And that was just by a stroke of the pen of a policy that was not well thought through. So I'm saying to you that we can't be agonizing
We can't make 2 steps forward, 2 steps backward. Shagai Buhari cannot have some policies that could have been sustained. And underneath it, he didn't know what he's doing. They cancel everything, they start another one. Now, Comparative doesn't know what he's doing. You cancel everything, you start another. Then please, how are we going to make progress? Is that the democracy we fought for? Is that the democracy we bled for? Is that the democracy? Some of them know some of what our own contributions were to this same democracy. And some of them also know what our contribution can be when we say, okay, enough. Let's go and tell people in the world that this democracy, we're tired of it. Let us do something else. Because the whole essence of democracy is that people must have life abundance. Right. And if what we are getting all over the country is that people are just complaining, they can't eat, they can't feed and all that, we need to throw up a new set of leaders. And I'm talking pan-Nigeria now. The North needs new set of leaders. The South does the same. The East does the same, and everybody does the same. So there's no, he's my favorite. There's no, he's exempt. All of them from 1999 to date who have had opportunity to go up to be in charge of our till are all guilty. We are the only nation in the world where you will get to a state, especially the Southwest, they can't grade their roads, and suddenly their governors can buy private jets. Does that even sound like Lansani to you? We have become a people where there's zero consequence. So when there's zero consequence, why would you expect people to behave well? When people don't behave well, why would you expect the people to have trust in their government? Enough. All right.
Chief Segun Sowunmi, thank you so much indeed for your time.
So thank you for having me. I think you should be part of the alternative. People that think about not just complaining, but saying, this is a better way, this is a better way. We'll be bringing alternative opinions that can be considered. This country has to work for all of us.
You get some members. What we do right here as a media, and I think I'm more comfortable being doing this work as a journalist, because to me the impact in pushing our nation forward in my only do way is also So I mean, you get members, not me anyways. Thank you so much.
Some of the best leaders in the world, the Karl Marxes of this world, and co, were journalists. The reason why they're called the members of the fourth realm of the estate is because we have accepted that some of the best leaders in the world in America said, if I had to choose between a free press or a free government, which will I choose? I'll choose a free press. Because we understand that these things you do, these things I do, is to stimulate society to think of what
you should know that I'm a man of conviction.
I know.
I don't do things if I'm not convinced.
Don't worry,
politics is not my thing.
I know. You don't want to spend some of your money.
I've lost elections before. So when I was in school, so I'd rather just stay in my calling.
Can you imagine what people like us go through and what people like us
This is a calling for me. I'd rather stay where my calling is.
I wish you well.
And be happy.
This is my own calling.
I'm able to report to God that God, what
this
my
is
calling
my calling, and I plan to be loyal, faithful, and honest.
I wish you very well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll go on a break, and when we return, Ghana will have a new president. John Dramani Mahama will be returning as a president. But what lesson can we learn? Election yesterday, result today. But is that the same case for Nigeria? We'll be getting some lessons from that West African country. Well, just a few hours away by road from us. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. This time, we're looking at election. Those of you, it's either you're proud or you're not about the Nigerian electoral process. But whichever way you feel tonight, we need to also learn there are a lot of history that we share with Ghana tonight. We can report to you that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, has gotten a historic comeback, and after winning the election with some of the results coming in earlier today, voters appear to have pushed out the ruling New Patriotic Party over the management of economic crisis. The NPP candidate and the Vice President, Muhammadu Bawumia, earlier today considered defeat in the presidential election conducted from yesterday after failing to shake off the widespread frustration over high cost of living. The defeat in the election ended 8 years in power of the NPP under President Nana Akufo-Addo, marked by the West African state's worst economic turmoil in years of high inflation and a debt default. Let me allow you to listen to what the vice president and the candidate of the NPP said when considering the fate. This is Muhammadu Bawumia.
We have conceded defeat like any consummate Democrat would do. But we have not abandoned the fight to transform Ghana and expand opportunities to all sections of our society. We will not be a disruptive opposition.
That is the candidate of the NPP there, considering the fate. This looks like something that is very much familiar. We saw this happening at the general elections of 2015 when the then president, Goodluck Jonathan, considered defeat. We also heard of Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti in the governorship election considering defeat. So it looks like a culture also familiar to the Nigerian elections, but not something that may be rampant, because a lot of politicians in Africa and in this part of the world always want to push their defeat and test their defeat in court. But let's get some perspective for someone who has been underground, who monitored the election. I'm being joined by the executive director of Yaga Africa, Mr. Samson Itodo, who is live for us in Accra. Thank you so much, Samson, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone.
How do you describe the outcome of that election? Is it something familiar? Is it something you would say? That's why a lot of Nigerians said the South African election gave them some reasons to look deeper into our elections. Does the Ghana election look even better than the South African experience?
Absolutely. The Ghanaian election does look better for a plethora of reasons. First, Ghanaians have spoken in accent clear and still. They've chosen a new actor or new leadership because of several reasons that are connected to the economy, are connected to security, and also connected, to state capture and corruption. And they've spoken loud and clear, and we hope that their voices and their will be respected. You reference, the concession speech. That speech that was delivered this morning at 9:35 a.m., reinforces Ghana's position as a poster child of democracy. In the build-up to this election, Ghana was undergoing a test, and it's a litmus test for its democratic maturity. And that action, putting your nation first, putting your country first above your personal aspiration, is the greatest act, and Dr. Bawumia has written his name in gold. But Segun, he chose that course of action because, one, yesterday, after the voting and collation, there was huge tension. In fact, as we speak, as at this evening and this afternoon, there were cases of, violence where young people, are vandalizing buildings of the Electoral Commission in some constituencies due to the delays in the collation of the result. He could only concede defeat because the process was transparent and it was credible. And this is what we're urging other countries, to employ. Now, when a process is free, is fair, is credible, acceptability of electoral outcomes is guaranteed. But when you have flawed elections, where you have elections that are stolen, or rules are not respected, or electoral commissions are not transparent and do not inspire public confidence, what you get is the kind of litigation that you see not just in Nigeria but in other parts of Africa. So we're very, very happy with Ghana, and Ghana is rising, as a model for other countries to emulate, especially countries, who care about democracy.
I mean, there are a few things that we also need to understand about this election. And of course, the Ghanaian electoral process, did stipulate that before a winner could emerge, who would have needed to cross the 51% of the vote margin, which Bawumia perhaps have seen that this is unassailable, and John Dramani Mahama had crossed that. And like you mentioned, there are issues of violence across. The Nigerian experience is totally different from the, there are categories to determine the winner in Nigeria. You definitely have to have a majority of votes, and of course you have to have 25% in 2/3 of the nation. So now these are different experiences, but you look at how, and there are those who are saying in several parts of Ghana, the collation is still ongoing. Now, if you look at the manner in the conduct of that election, Ghana is a smaller country to Nigeria in terms of size and in terms of population. So the comparison needs to also be circumspect. Now, if you look at it, what would you say that we can extrapolate from the Ghanaian electoral experience compared to ours?
There are so many things we can learn from the Ghanaian experience, but let me just highlight three that are critical, for our own electoral jurisprudence. The first one is the level of transparency in the results collation process. So at the national level, the results from the constituencies for the presidential election, are collated at the constituency level. So they go from the polling unit to the constituency level to the regional level. And then the results are faxed. They use fax machines to transmit the results from the regional level to the national headquarters. But here is what happens at the national headquarters. When the results are faxed and they get to the national headquarters, the Electoral Commission takes a copy of the results, photocopies the results, and give them to all the party agents. All the party agents are given 20 minutes to review and verify the results. In other words, since you've got party agents across, it is expected that when you're in the collation center, you should have results from those constituencies. So party agents have the opportunity to compare the results from the region as well as the results that they got from their party agents on the field. When that verification process is concluded, it then goes to the chair of the commission, who is the chief electoral commissioner. And then she endorses it. They bring it back and then photocopy all the results and hand them over to the parties. That is a level of transparency that we also need to imbibe, especially when we collate results, whether for governorship elections or for presidential elections. The second thing to learn, and we find this really phenomenal, is that every political party has got its own seal that it puts on the ballot boxes. So on election day, INEC has seals that it puts to lock the ballot boxes. The political parties are also required to produce their seals, and those seals have number. They also lock the ballot boxes to prevent any form of manipulation. Because if those seals are broken, it then means that the ballots have been compromised. This is also one lesson. The third lesson from this particular election is the special voting opportunity that is provided for the electoral officials, the security agents, and then media organizations. They vote few days before the elections. So on the second, this category of persons voted before the election on the 7th. And now that the National Assembly is considering early voting to allow both INEC officials, security agencies, election observers, and media organizations like yourself, Segun, it requires a lot of support to ensure that those provisions make it to the final electoral bill that is passed. Because if you don't, we are disenfranchising close to 4 million Nigerians who are unable to vote on election by virtue of providing election day services. I can go on, but one thing that is actually remarkable is the role that institutions actually play, the value of strong institutions. Because all of the things we talk about, whether it's the concession speech, the level of transparency, the level of political literacy of Ghanaians, is contingent on a culture that is dominant in this space. You don't buy culture from the market. You have to build culture. This is why Nigerian politicians, Nigerian political parties need to imbibe certain democratic practices, that doesn't project them as only interested in capturing power just to advance inter-elite interest, but the one that advances the common good.
Now, I saw the INEC chairman is also on an observation mission in Ghana for that election. And I'm wondering what will be going on through his mind right now in what needs to be changed ahead of the next elections in Nigeria. Some of what you have mentioned in comparative analysis are institutional changes that goes right into the heart of our laws, the Electoral Act and the Constitution. I know there are efforts in making changes and review to the Electoral Act. If there are major changes that should be changed, considering the experience that we've had in South Africa and in Africa, in Ghana, for example, for us to call ourselves the giant of Africa and our elections are still tainted with some elements of doubt, trust issues, and some operational problems. What do you think, or what would you suggest are the critical areas that need to be touched up urgently on our laws?
Cheryl, I think the first thing we need to talk about is the attitude of our political class. And I don't think legislation can actually lead to attitudinal changes. It might at some point, but our politicians need to change their attitude towards politics. That politics is not a do or die affair. That if you lose elections, and you're rejected by the people, honorably, just leave the scene because you can't force yourself, on the people. That's one. And then when you think about the laws, there are several laws that need to change. Our constitution, needs to introduce independent candidacy because Ghanaians have independent candidates. The second is the institution itself needs to be independent. And in this case, INEC needs to be independent. The appointment process of the INEC chairman and national commissioners needs to be revised in line with the recommendation by Justice Uwe's, committee, as well as several domestic and international observer recommendations. The third sort of reform, I've talked about early voting in our electoral law, is prisoners voting, because the right to vote is a sacred right in a democracy. And our laws need to be amended in such a way that they do nothing but expand the space for voters and Nigerians to be able to exercise their franchise. I think lastly, one law, and changes that need to be made, relates to the cost, of running for office as well as the cost of elections. We have to reduce the cost of running for office and the charges that are being imposed on people who are running for office. Because if we don't do so, we will end up with people who win elections and their first preoccupation, is to recoup the monies that they spend, in their elections. And I just hope that as the National Assembly proceeds, with the reforms, the proposal that all election petitions should end before swearing in, is a remarkable proposal that needs to be adopted so that it streamlines and reduces all the confusion that we have in our electoral system.
Samson Itodo, thank you so much. We need to learn. The day we stop learning, they say, is the day we die. So it could be better here. Thank you so much indeed. Samson Itodo, Executive Director of Yaga Africa, who led some Nigerians on an election observation mission to Ghana for the election here. Congratulations to John Dramani Mahama, who is now going to be the winner and the new leader of Ghana. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. But that's our show for today, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Many thanks for watching. I'm Sowunmi. I'll see you next time. God bless Nigeria.